Hello and welcome to Culture here on I24 News. I'm Oded Grober. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're dressed nicely for today's show because we will celebrate the Tel Aviv Fashion Week. We'll meet young Israeli model Sofia Mechtner on the catwalk for Dior. Check out Israeli bridal gown designers in New York. And also, we'll talk about the wage inequality in Hollywood. 14-year-old Israeli Sofia Mechtner made headlines a few months ago when she was selected to be the face of Dior, sparking Cinderella news stories and a debate about the appropriate age for models. We met her during the recent Bridal Paris Fashion Week, where she took the runway for the brand. Sandy Fortist and Leah Wolber have more.
The Louvre Museum in Paris is ready to present Dior's spring-summer collection of ready-to-wear fashion. The show is about to begin. The top of the fashion industry are here: designers, celebrities, journalists, and paparazzis.
Okay, can you be here? Just here? Just here?
Behind the scenes, everyone is in fervor. They're all in a rush, and it begins.
For professional eye, you can see how special she is. I saw her at the first time, and Raf Simons also saw it when we were at the store, and he fell in love with her immediately.
Meet Sofia Mechtner, the young Israeli model who for the first time opens the Dior ready-to-wear show at the Paris Fashion Week. You might have heard that she had opened the haute couture fashion show back home in July. Mechtner was discovered a few months ago by Raf Simons, the artistic director of Dior, and went from an unknown to a supermodel overnight. One might think that since then her life has changed.
We live in another apartment, but we stayed in the same neighborhood. I have the same relationship with those around me. I behave the same way as before, and I go to the same school as before.
Originally from Holon, a suburb near Tel Aviv, Sofia lives with her mother and sisters. At just 14, she enters a world miles away from everything she knows. Her young age has also been controversial in the industry. Her presence on the catwalk has relaunched the debate on the minimum age of models. But for her, as for those around her, age is not a problem.
I'm here with her all the time, and Dior treat her very, very well. They treat her like a princess.
Fashion shows usually fall during my school holidays. The first took place during the summer holidays, this one too, and the next will take place during the December holidays. And if I have to miss a few days, it's not so bad since I can catch up later.
Even though she's very young, Sofia thinks she's going to continue on this career path.
For now, I'd like to continue in modeling, and then maybe one day I will open my own modeling agency.
And Sofia seems to be very comfortable in her position. In just a few months, the Israeli youngster has already won over Dior.
Il faut qu'elle continue de grandir, mais l'image est formidable et
it should continue to grow. We know you have in Israel many elegant women who give that tone of modernity present in Tel Aviv. Pretty amazing because Tel Aviv has always been at the forefront of technology, but the spirit of fashion can also be found on the streets, in restaurants. It's quite striking.
Dans des restaurants, c'est assez frappant.
A spirit that we now find through Sofia 4 times a year on the Dior catwalk.
Bridal Fashion Week was held recently in New York, presenting the fantasy dresses the brides of the following season will spend large sums of money on. Among the brands who took part, young up-and-coming Israeli designers stood out with their white creations. Daniel Ziri reports from New York.
Israeli designers take the runway in New York City. 7 of them got their time to shine at New York's International Bridal Week, one of the most important events of the industry in the United States. Hundreds of brands displayed their collection for the fall-winter 2016, In such a setting, standing out of the crowd isn't easy, but the up-and-coming Israeli designers didn't seem intimidated at all. Among them, Yoav Rish, who started making wedding dresses 8 years ago.
It started when I made the wedding dress for my little sister, and then right after the wedding we got another order and another order and another request. So that's how that began. My style is very bohemian inspired, very light.
Just like Yoav, it was the first time that Limor Rosen was sending her creations down the runway at such a big event.
I come from a long line of designers. My grandmother was a designer, so I guess it was always there for me. I like it when you have to take a second look at the dress to see the whole thing. I mean, you look at it, you think you got it, but then you look at it again and you find things that you didn't know that were there.
Flowy fabrics, shiny beads, and even crop tops. The vintage vibe and what the designers call boho chic is very characteristic of the Israeli dresses.
There's a lot of enthusiasm about Israeli designers as a whole. We're bringing something fresh, something new.
But aesthetics and styling are not the only thing that Israelis do differently.
Israeli designers are risk takers. They can really, go the extra mile with doing whatever it is they want to do and just really be kind of extreme. Because Israel's small and, you have to really put yourself out there if you want to make a name for yourself. That other designers that, they're a little more classic, they're European, they're calm, they're more with the approach of, if someone likes my things, they will come to me. With the Israeli designers, no one's waiting for anything.
In a world where almost half of marriages end in divorce, the wedding industry still generates close to $54 billion a year in the United States, and 7% of that budget is exclusively spent on wedding gowns.
The divorce rate is actually something that works for the better in terms of bridal designers. I mean, why have one wedding if you can have two?
For the young Israeli designers, the New York Bridal Show is only the beginning. Most of them say they dream of having their own boutique in New York, right next to the biggest names in bridal fashion.
And Mazel Tov. Now, in the Pakistani foothills of the Himalayas, there are winemakers making wine using age-old techniques. In doing so, they defy religious injunctions against alcohol in the country. More in this report.
Searching for the forbidden fruit. Every autumn in Pakistan's mountainous north, villagers pick grapes to make their own wine. A rare practice in a Muslim country where alcohol was banned in the 1970s. This knowledge has been passed down from generation to generation, Rehmat Ali learning it from his grandfather when he was 8.
It's a good tradition. We have to enjoy our life as well. Every time work, and no enjoyment, that's not life.
The Hunza Valley, which links Pakistan to China, is the only place in the country where these road signs are visible. The drinking culture here dates back to long before the creation of Pakistan. But today, not everyone is comfortable admitting to this illicit habit publicly.
I've been drinking the wine since childhood. Now I'm 86. So it's been here since the old days, even before Islam. When there was no Islam here but Buddhism, our ancestors made wine, and it's been part of our culture ever since. When Islam came here, people didn't stop drinking.
Local police tolerate the winemaking as long as there is no one making money from it. But religious leaders condemn it. Alcohol is clearly prohibited by Islam, including in Ismailism, a branch of Shia Muslim faith common in this region. For the past 30 years, Muhammad Aslam has been going from village to village, spreading the word.
Persuasion is there, whatever I can, I could ask people, I could make them understand, but you see, it's very difficult, to change the habits of people, the cultural habits of the people.
Back in his village, old Majnoon has no intention of changing his way of life.
Religious leaders are no one to control my life. From a religious point of view, people used to say that we shouldn't drink. It's not so much that it's a sin or forbidden, but that it is not good for your health. But I'm used to it, and I like it.
Like his ancestors before him, Majnoon has a taste for this sweet and heady wine. And despite the attentions of local clerics and preachers, looks intent on singing its praises for years to come.
In a moment, we'll discuss money in Hollywood. But first, here's our cultural recommendation for today.
Considered one of the most important Renaissance artists, Sandro Botticelli has been a source of inspiration for many. Today, the Berlin Gemälde Gallery honors him with an outstanding exhibition. On the program, more than 50 original works by Botticelli and 150 works by other artists inspired by the master. Paintings, drawings, photographs, and even videos. Fashion objects of great artists such as Edgar Degas, Dante Gabriel Rossetti, Andy Warhol, and David LaChapelle. And obviously, the public will discover the legendary Venus of the Florentine painter in a Renaissance display not to be missed.
Lauren Izo is already right here in the studio. Hey, Lauren.
Hi.
So, I don't know, I think you're making probably more than me.
Well, actually, according to Jennifer Lawrence, women apparently aren't making as much as men. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Not really the headline of the century.
Well, actually, lately it's become the headline of the century since Jennifer Lawrence spoke out against women in Hollywood making less than men.
Well, the fact that she spoke out against it, that's like the thing that, you know, everybody knew that women make less than men also in Hollywood. I mean, but nobody dared speak against the system. That's,
especially women in Hollywood who are making millions of dollars, so much money. I mean, really, is it right for them to be complaining about how much they make? That's really the question here.
I can't really, poor Jennifer Lawrence. It's like,
right.
but
so
she's a huge star.
Yeah,
she deserves
fantastic.
to get paid just as much as, I don't know.
Absolutely, and she's a huge role model for women and young girls, especially now that she's speaking out and standing up for women. So basically, I'll give you a little bit of a rundown of what happened. So after the Sony hack a while back, there was a bunch of emails leaked, and the salaries of everyone from the movie American Hustle was part of this leak. So she found out that she was actually making a lot less than Bradley Cooper, her co-star. Wow. She had negotiated for 7% of the total grossing income of the movie, and he got 9%. And after she saw this, she really reflected back on herself of why she didn't work harder to negotiate a better salary. And she wasn't sure if it was really because she didn't want to come off looking like a brat. Right. I mean, there was also lots of emails in this Sony hack that complained about women in Hollywood being brats, like Angelina Jolie, for instance. And she really didn't want to taint her reputation by looking like that. And she didn't want to be that woman who, I mean, obviously, a man, if he's going to complain about his pay, he's not going to be considered a brat, which is a huge part of this issue. It's a very, do you know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean. And it is complicated because on the one hand, you want to get paid. On the other hand, it could be because she's a woman. It could be because she had a bad agent. It could, there could be a whole set of reasons.
Yeah, regardless of what it means, though, she really felt like it was her responsibility to speak up because, I mean, she's not the only woman who's facing this. It's a huge issue. So she wrote a letter on Lena Dunham's blog about exactly why this is such an issue, and a lot of women in Hollywood came out to support her. So we have a few clips of women responding to this. Let's take a look at that.
The big conversation that's on everyone's lips right now is equality for men and women. You know, why it should. I hope one day no one cares whether the role was written for a man or a woman, as long as it's a great role. The wage gap is just it's a result of something bigger. And I've said this so many times, but no one can seem to give me an answer. Wants to answer is just why are women thought of as less than?
Well, I don't know about negotiating because I've never negotiated for myself. It's not something I think I'd ever feel comfortable doing. And the whole topic I find quite awkward to talk about because being British, we just don't talk about those things. It's quite weird.
Well, I believe that when women come together and support each other, it uplifts us and makes us stronger. So that's why it's important, because it just gives us, it inspires us to do better. That's what I believe.
I think that the more energy we give each other, the more encouragement, the more we're going to gather courage to continue evolving, growing, succeeding, and speaking up.
Important stuff, no question about it.
Yeah, as you can see, she's really garnered a lot of support. And one of her biggest supporters is actually Bradley Cooper, who was her co-star in American Hustle.
He feels bad about those 2%.
She feels really bad. I mean, don't feel so bad because she still made a ton
nice
of money,
chunk of change.
a ton of money.
Yeah.
So he has done some interviews since this whole thing came out, saying that he's now going to help women, his co-stars, negotiate to get paid the same as him, because it's really not fair that just because...
Oh, so he thinks that his female co-stars need the help of a man?
I mean, come on.
We're out of time,
they do.
but thank you, Lauren.
Thank you so much.
Thank you at home for watching. Join us again tomorrow for another edition of Culture.